All right, here's our last worksheet for the year. Okay, what number is represented below? So we've got another place value problem. So if you'll just take out a sheet of notebook paper and turn it sideways, you can use that as a place value chart. And you're going to write in your numbers and line them up. So there's a 40, and then a 7, and then 0.2. Remember, when a number does not have a decimal, you have to make it dollars. So we go back and make that $7, $800. Then keep adding the rest of the numbers. You can fill in with zeros if you need to. That means we've got to fill in all of these with zeros. And you treat it like one big adding problem. So finish that one out on your own. Put your answer right there. Number 2, what equation does this model represent? Do you see the same fraction over and over and over again? Each one of these is exactly the same. How many times do you see that fraction? Write the fraction right here, and then how many times do you see it? So this fraction, write the fraction, so number over number, times how many times do you see it, equals, and then you need to come up with an answer. You can either use your skills of multiplying fractions, where you multiply straight across, or you can shift all of these pieces around, cross it out and color it, cross it out and color it, and move all the pieces around to see what your final product is. Number 3, write an equation to solve the model write an equation to use the model and use the model to solve. So an equation means we've got to, again, what equation? We've got to write a math problem. So we see this same number over and over again. Yes, it's the same number over and over again. That is another times problem. But this time it's not a fraction, it's a decimal. So we have 0 wholes, how many tenths, and how many hundredths, okay? So count your tenths, count your hundredths. That's going to be your decimal. Now, how many times do we see that decimal? We see that decimal over and over and over again. It's the same one. So how many times do we see it? Equals, now you can certainly work this in a calculator. I know that. But I want you to shade in all of the tenths. So how many tenths are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tenths in this one. So I'm going to shade in 7 tenths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then there's also 7 tenths in this one. So I'm going to shade 7 more. Do you understand how I'm doing this? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 more tenths. We're shading the whole row, yes? Now this one also has 7 tenths. So I'm going to start here and add 7 more tenths. 1, 2, 3, and you keep going. Then you're going to go back, and wherever you left off, you're going to start shading your hundredths. There's 2 hundredths there, so you would shade 2 little squares. 2 more, so keep going, adding 2 until you get all of these put together in this model. That's going to be your answer. How many wholes and how many parts? Okay, we've got a volume problem. This time there's no area or perimeter with it, so we just need our formula for volume, which is length times width times height. So you need to draw your bat wings. Remember, it's 3 edges, 3 outside edges that are touching. So you can choose to do this edge and that edge and that edge because they're all 3 touching. And you can count the blocks, count the blocks, count the blocks. What is your length? What is your width? What is your height? That type of thing. Length is generally going across the front. Width is generally going from front to back. And your height is how many layers high is it? Okay, so this would be your length. This would be your width, and this would be your height. You can choose these 3 sides, or you can choose another 3 sides, but as long as they have to be outside edges, yes? So if I wanted to start here, my height, my length, and my width would then go this way. So height, length, and here's width. So you can do it this way as well. Or you can choose to put your bat wings starting right here. This outside edge touches this outside edge, which touches this side outside edge, which means my height would be back here. It doesn't really matter because it's going to give you the same numbers either way you do it. So length times width times height, figure out what those dimensions are, and then do the math problem. Paul's monthly salary. Here's his gross pay, which is before deductions. So when his employer gives him his pay that he earned, then they take money out. Deductions are taken away. Okay. What is the net pay? So you need to do this math problem and put the net pay right here. His employer paid him this much. That's how much he earned. He has to pay the government his deductions. So take that away from that. Write your net pay right here. We're going to answer these questions. What is the difference? That would be subtraction. In his expected expenses, we've done one of these before. Here's the expected expenses, which means you need to add them all up. Here's your expected expenses and his actual expenses, which would be right here. You need to add all of those up. What is the difference? Which means you're going to be subtracting his expected expenses from his actual expenses. These 2 numbers need to be subtracted. Put your answer right here. What is the difference? There's difference again. In his monthly net pay, here's his net pay right here, which you have to solve, and his actual, so his net pay and his actual expenses. This number right here. So you're going to be subtracting his net pay and his actual expenses. Subtract these 2 numbers, put your answer right here. All right, that is it. You have now officially finished 5th grade math. Miss Massey and I have a special surprise planned for those of you that have been following along with us this entire time. So be on the lookout for us. We miss you and we wish you well in middle school. We know you're going to do an outstanding, outstanding job. Come by and see us every now and then so we can see your beautiful faces again. All right, we love you.